As I stood at the sink, toothbrush in hand, the sudden chime of my phone broke the morning silence. There it was, a call from an unknown number, a mystery waiting to unfold. As I hovered over the phone, the temptation to let it slip into the abyss of voicemail tugged at me. Yet an unseen force compelled my hand to reach out and answer the call. "Greetings, is this the esteemed Ms. Emily Carter I have the pleasure of speaking with?" "Indeed, I am here, ready to converse." Once upon a time, there was a place known as Western Financial Bank. Once upon a time, we find ourselves reaching out regarding a significant loan of $898,000 that bears your name, a matter that awaits resolution. Alas, the time has come, and your payment has wandered beyond its due date. Shall we embark on a conversation about a repayment plan? In that moment, time stood still, and I found myself paralyzed, caught in the grip of an unexpected chill. In that fleeting moment, a flicker of doubt crossed my mind, and I wondered if it was all just a clever ruse. "I believe you may have mistaken me for someone else," I uttered, my fingers clutching the edge of the sink for support. Dear lady, this loan, it was set in motion a full 11 months past. As the main applicant, the weight of repayment rests upon your shoulders." As the moment unfolded, I could feel my heart begin to race, each beat echoing like a drum in the silence. "Pray tell, what is it that you speak of?" Once upon a time, in a world filled with choices and opportunities, there was a person who decided to walk a different path. They chose to navigate their journey without the weight of a loan upon their shoulders. In a moment that felt like a whisper in the wind, I found myself standing there, resolute and unyielding, for I had never put my name to any parchment or document. "Should you desire, we can send the documents via email for verification." Not a single word escaped my lips. My mouth felt parched, as if the very essence of moisture had vanished into thin air. They possessed my name, my ID, my every detail, yet I remained blissfully unaware of the very existence of this loan. Once the call ended, a strange numbness enveloped my body. As I settled onto the chilly bathroom floor, a wave of memories washed over me, beckoning me to recall the fragments of the past. In moments of reflection, I pondered, had I ever unwittingly inscribed my name upon a document, unaware of the consequences that might follow? Could this be a clever ruse? Yet, within the depths of their being, an unsettling sensation began to take root. A sense of unease settled in my gut, whispering that all was not as it should be. Not with the bank, but with my very own kin. From the very beginning, I felt as though I existed in the shadows of their minds, a mere whisper in the grand tapestry of their lives, always regarded as an afterthought. In the tapestry of my family, I was the silent thread, the dutiful daughter who lingered in the shadows, never raising my voice, always choosing the path of compliance. In the tapestry of my childhood, my older brother and younger sister were the vibrant threads that wove the fabric of my life, always taking precedence in the grand tale of our family. Once upon a time, I was told that the world of business was too complex for someone like me. They said I should keep my distance from financial affairs and simply play the role of a good girl. Yet, what of this? Imagine, if you will, a sum of $898,000, a loan that bears my name, a weighty figure that carries with it the promise of opportunity and the shadow of responsibility. In silence, with urgency in my heart, I dashed to my email. And there it lay, a collection of papers from the bank, waiting to unveil their secrets. In a world where identities intertwine, there lies a name, a number, and a signature crafted with the utmost care. In that moment, a heavy weight settled in my chest, pulling me down into a sea of despair. Once upon a time, there was a loan that held a truth of its own, a truth that was far from being a mere illusion. Indeed, it was a truth that resonated deeply. And thus, I found myself ensnared in a web of financial obligation, burdened by a staggering sum nearing $750,000. In that moment, the air seemed to vanish, leaving me gasping for the very essence of life itself. In that fleeting instant, the echoes of every sacrifice I had ever made for my family danced vividly before my eyes. In moments of quiet tension, I found myself uttering the word, yes, a simple agreement to maintain harmony in the air around me. Each time I allow them to steer the course of my choices, each time I find myself diminishing, molding into a shape that brings them ease. And this was the gratitude I received? Little did I realize the depths of the betrayal that lay hidden, nor the extent of their actions carried out in the shadows of my trust. In that moment, as I knelt on the cool tiles of the bathroom floor, a silent vow took root within me. In their eyes, I was but a fragile shadow, a whisper of strength lost in the winds of doubt. They believed I would simply stand down, that I would not rise to the challenge. Alas, they were mistaken. In the bustling Carter household, one might feel like a spare tire, always present yet seldom the focus of attention. There it lingered, often overlooked and seldom given a second thought, yet in moments of stillness, it emerged as a beacon of significance. In a world where words could cut like a knife, my mother, Diane, wielded her sharp tongue with precision. Yet, curiously, her expectations never seemed to find their mark with me. Emily would often declare, with a dismissive wave of her hand, as if brushing away an annoying fly, that not everyone is destined to shine. In the grand tapestry of life, there are those whose purpose is to stand as pillars of support. Do try to be of some use, my dear. In the tapestry of our family, my older brother, Brandon, shone like a brilliant star, the golden child who captured the hearts of all. Though he might stumble in his college class, the warmth of applause would still greet him at the dinner table. He's simply under pressure, Mother would say, as she gracefully refilled his plate. In our family, there was a shining star, and that star was my sister, Alyssa, the jewel that sparkled brightest among us all. All things seemed to dance in her orbit. Text in her gaze, there was a spark that could ignite the dullest of days. Her words danced through the air, weaving tales that captivated all who listened. And when she unleashed her frustrations, it was as if a tempest had broken loose, leaving a trail of astonishment in its wake. In hushed tones, they would whisper, "She's sensitive," as I quietly tidied up the chaos that surrounded me. In that moment, I knew I was far from foolish. From the very beginning, a certain pattern caught my eye. In the moment when the fridge faltered, it fell upon my shoulders to unravel the mystery of its repair. In a moment of urgency, when Brandon let slip the due date of his credit card bill, I took it upon myself to step in and make the payment, hoping to shield our father from a storm of anger. On a dreary, rain-soaked day, when Alyssa found herself in need of a ride across town, it was I who set aside all else to come to her aid. It was a moment that hung in the air, uninvited and unexpected, as if the world had paused to acknowledge the silence of unasked questions. It was something they anticipated, as natural as the very act of drawing in air. What left me more bewildered than the neglect was the overwhelming sense of possessiveness. Each time I spoke of pursuing college programs beyond our borders, my mother would weave a tapestry of guilt around my words. And depart from our midst? Who shall tend to all that lies before us? In a world where Brandon juggles countless responsibilities, Alyssa embarks on her own journey, still discovering her place amidst the unfolding tale. In the quiet moments, when words hung in the air like unspoken thoughts, Dad remained a man of few words. With a simple nod towards Mother, he spoke softly, "You're not ready to live alone, Emily. It seems that path may not be meant for you." It was then that I found myself beginning to trust their words. They adorned it with the sweet whispers of love and the warm embrace of protection, yet beneath the surface, it bore the weight of a cage, confining and stifling. Each time I summoned the courage to envision a future of my own, they would, with a seemingly gentle smile, snip away at my aspirations, grounding me once more. They would often remark, "You're such a sweet girl," as though the essence of sweetness was found in silence. At the age of 27, I found myself still residing under the familiar roof of my childhood home. It wasn't out of desire, but rather from a lack of understanding on how to escape the confines that held me tight. In the midst of my daily adventures, I found myself juggling a part-time job at a quaint local office, all the while lending a hand to my mother as she navigated the bustling world of errands. In a world where Brandon and Alyssa danced through life with vibrant flair, their lives sparkled with dazzling careers, captivating relationships, and grand plans that painted their futures in bold strokes. Once upon a time, there existed a life woven with threads of structure, where obligations loomed like shadows and invisible chains held the spirit captive. As I reflect on the past, I realize that the omens were unmistakably present. In those days, my mother held the reins tightly when it came to the mail, never allowing me the chance to grasp it in my own hands. She had a way of always offering to safeguard my ID, as if it were a precious treasure that needed protection. Once upon a time, in a light-hearted moment, Brandon playfully remarked that among all the names in the family, Emily's stood out as the purest of them all. In times of need, when the weight of the world feels heavy upon our shoulders, we have a trusted ally to turn to for support, a beacon of hope in the form of a loan, ready to answer our call. And so, a chorus of laughter filled the air, echoing like a joyful melody among friends. Alas, I did not. In that moment, I believed they were simply acting peculiar. In the tapestry of life, there exists a family that dances to the beat of their own drum, each thread woven with quirks and peculiarities that make them uniquely enchanting. Yet, at this moment, the truth unveils itself before my eyes. In that moment, it became clear to me, they were not my guardians. In the shadows of my journey, whispers of destiny began to weave their intricate patterns around me, hinting at a grander purpose that awaited just beyond the horizon. It was a moment that danced just beyond the edges of my imagination. Little did they know, the truth of my being was about to unfold before their very eyes, revealing just how mistaken their assumptions had been. There was an unsettling sensation that lingered, whispering to me that all was not as it should be. Once the call from the bank had ended, I found myself lost in a sea of memories, sifting through my personal files and scrolling through the echoes of old emails for hours on end. Seek to unravel the tangled web of chaos. Yet, as I delved deeper into the shadows, an unsettling sensation washed over me, as if I were peeling back the layers of a dark conspiracy that had long existed beyond my reach. As I ventured further into the depths, the truth began to unfold before me with remarkable clarity. Once upon a time, amidst the countless messages that cluttered my inbox, there lay a simple email, waiting patiently to be discovered. It came from my mother, a treasure marked with the date from just over a year past. "Emily, I have but a small favor to ask," it read. "Would you be so kind as to watch over some important documents that I must submit? And so I shall take care of all that remains. Fear not, for all shall be well." For as long as I could recall, my mother had been the one to navigate the twists and turns of life, and in that moment, it seemed perfectly ordinary to me. Yet this email, it held a different essence altogether. In the midst of a series of communications, there lay a message that unraveled the intricate journey of the loan application process. As I delved into the loan documents from the bank, my gaze fell upon the digital signature, and in that moment, a realization washed over me. It was unmistakably a forgery. Though my name graced the page, the strokes that formed it were not my own. In all my days, I had never put pen to paper for a loan, a stranger to such formalities. Yet, the forged signature was not the most troubling aspect of it all. It was the sum that held significance: $722,000. With a steady hand, I reached for the phone once more, the familiar digits of the bank swirling in my mind as I prepared to speak, determined to keep my voice unwavering. "Would you be so kind as to share the purpose behind the loan?" On the other end, a profound silence lingered, heavy and almost deafening. Once upon a time, a loan was granted, opening doors to a myriad of possibilities. It was destined for a new home, where dreams would take root, and for a family gathering, where laughter and love would fill the air. A chilling sensation crept down my spine, as if the very air around me had turned to ice. A gathering of kin, where laughter dances in the air and stories weave through the hearts of those gathered. A family event, indeed. I inquired, my voice trembling with uncertainty. What tale unfolds before us? A wedding, the bank representative remarked with a nonchalant air. In a tale of family bonds and cherished moments, a loan was crafted in your name, destined to bring joy to your sister's wedding and to help your brother secure a home of his own. As the revelation washed over me, the world around me began to whirl, each moment heavy with the weight of undeniable reality. In a tale woven with betrayal, my name and identity were seized, wielded like a tool to secure a loan unbeknownst to me. This act, cloaked in secrecy, was done to finance my sister's lavish wedding and my brother's extravagant home, leaving me to grapple with the shadows of their choices. For months, my sister basked in the glow of attention, her bridal gown a shimmering beacon of joy, while my brother, with a heart full of pride, unveiled his new house to their circle of friends, each corner a testament to his hard work and dreams. In a flash, memories of every whispered conversation I had caught in the air came rushing back to me. There were those fleeting moments when Brandon would share tales of the grand price tag attached to his future home, and then there was Alyssa, weaving her dreams into the air with casual remarks about the wedding she envisioned. Yet, in all their tales and whispers, my name was never spoken, not even a single time. In that moment, the sharp pain of betrayal pierced my heart, a wound not solely from the loan, but from the countless years spent ensnared in their web, led to believe I was merely a whisper in their grand tale, a shadow lurking in the background. Nothing more than a fleeting presence. Like a sudden storm breaking the calm, the realization struck me with a force I had never anticipated. In a tale woven with betrayal, my family had stripped away all that I held dear, wielding my name as if it were mere dust, while I remained ensnared in their intricate web. In the shadows of my own trust, they had woven their deceit, and I, like a fool, had wandered through the darkness, unable to glimpse the truth that lay before me. A cry of frustration bubbled within me, yearning to break free. With a fire in my heart, I felt an irresistible urge to march right up and face them all head-on. Yet, deep within me, I sensed a yearning for something greater, something unyielding, something that would leave no room for words to twist and turn away from the truth. At long last, the moment had come to rise and reclaim what was rightfully theirs. And so it was that I vowed to make them rue the day they ever dared to believe they could take advantage of me. The weight of my secret grew too heavy to bear, and at last, I found myself unable to hold it within any longer. With a heavy heart, I knew the time had come to stand before them, to compel them to reckon with the shadows of their actions. Having unearthed the truth, I resolved not to allow them to act as if all was well, as if the shadows of the past had not loomed large over us. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I lingered patiently until the last bite of dinner was savored and the table was cleared. Brandon found himself sprawled comfortably on the couch, his phone in hand, lost in the digital world that beckoned him. In a cozy corner of the house, Alyssa gleamed with excitement as she unveiled a sparkling piece of jewelry, a treasure from her honeymoon. Meanwhile, in the heart of the home, my mom busied herself in the kitchen, her hands working diligently to ensure that every detail was just right. In the dim light of the living room, Dad sat slumped in his chair, the glow of the television flickering across his face. His eyes, glazed and distant, seemed to drift into another world as the remnants of the evening's indulgence took hold of him. A weight of anticipation settled in my chest, growing heavier with each passing moment. With a forceful thud, I brought the loan documents down upon the dining table, the sharp crack of paper slicing through the stillness of the room. In that moment, time itself seemed to stand still and all eyes widened in disbelief. What could this be? With a voice laced in fury, I confronted them. "You've been using my name to secure a loan." Once upon a time, there was a beautiful wedding for Alyssa, and in the heart of it all stood Brandon's charming house. In a moment thick with unspoken words, a question hung in the air, heavy and charged. What could possibly be amiss, without a single hint or inquiry? The confusion swirled, leaving only the echo of that piercing thought. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Alyssa's expression fell like a curtain, heavy and sudden, yet Brandon stood unmoved, as if the world around him had paused in that very moment. He lifted his gaze from the glowing screen of his phone, an air of indifference surrounding him. Yet there stood Mom, her expression as calm as a still lake, not a hint of surprise flickering across her face. With measured steps, she approached the table, her fingers delicately lifting the paper. Then she turned to me, a serene smile gracing her lips, as if to suggest that I was the one caught in a tempest of emotions. "Emily, my dear," she said, her voice laced with a honeyed warmth that wrapped around the words like a gentle embrace. "It puzzles me why this has become such a grand affair. In the tapestry of our lives, you are the thread that binds us together, our beloved daughter. In the face of challenges, we found ourselves compelled to take the steps that would safeguard our family's well-being. In a world where time seemed to slip through fingers like sand, Alyssa's wedding beckoned with urgency, and Brandon's house stood as a beacon of possibility, ready to host the celebration of love. My dear, it seems you are not yet tapping into the vast well of potential that lies within you." As I stood there, my eyes widened in disbelief. A wave of astonishment washed over me. "What is this curious thing that has caught your attention?" The whispers of possibility that dance around us, beckoning us to explore the depths of our own potential. In a moment that felt like a thunderclap, I turned to you, my voice trembling with the weight of revelation. "You stole my identity, Mom. In a twist of fate, you took it upon yourself to craft my name, all in the pursuit of securing a loan. You never even inquired of me." Mom let out a deep sigh, as if she were trying to convey a lesson to a little one who simply couldn't grasp the meaning. "Oh, Emily," she whispered gently, as if I were the source of all troubles. "Strive to bring value to your family, for every effort counts in the tapestry of life. All that you require has been bestowed upon you. In the shadows of our watchful gaze, we have shielded you, tending to your needs with unwavering care. What other purpose do you serve, if not to lend a hand in our times of need?" Her words landed upon me like a sudden, stinging blow, leaving me momentarily breathless. In that moment, a tempest brewed within me, a fierce desire to unleash my voice, to hurl the truth before them like a bolt of lightning, hoping they would finally grasp the depths of their cruelty. Yet it was her serene composure and the chilling clarity of her words that deepened the tension in the air. It seemed as though she held a steadfast conviction that her stance was just and true. At long last, Brandon lifted his gaze, casting upon me a look that spoke of indifference. "Oh, Emily, why do you wear that mask of innocence? The truth dances just beneath the surface, waiting to be unveiled. Are you planning to stay right here with us, my friend? What change does it bring to the tale? In this very place, you find your home." It seems that the world around you has quieted, leaving you with a moment of stillness, a pause in the grand tapestry of life. Imagine it as a way to lend a hand to the family. With determination, I tightened my grip, my fists becoming a symbol of my resolve. "Assisting the family on their journey?" My voice echoed with rising disbelief, a refrain that danced in the air. "In the shadows of our connection, I became your personal cash cow, a mere vessel for your desires, while you wandered through life without a single thought of my own hopes and dreams. In the shadows of your actions, I felt the weight of indifference, as if I were but a whisper in a crowded room, unseen and unheard." With a casual lift of her shoulders, Mom expressed her indifference. "Once upon a time, in a world filled with love and dreams, there lived a girl named Emily who was cherished as our daughter. In the depths of our hearts, We trust that you will find it in your spirit to grant us your forgiveness. It is a certainty that you always do. Let us not stir the waters of chaos. It was a word that pierced the air, sharp and sudden, leaving a lingering sensation in its wake. It was more than merely the loan. It was a tapestry woven with the threads of all that one could desire. For years, I found myself ensnared in a web of manipulation, where my kindness was wielded like a tool to fulfill their desires. And now, they carried on as if this was all perfectly ordinary. It felt as though I was the one being unreasonable. In the quiet moments of reflection, I find it within my heart to let go and extend my forgiveness to you. With a hushed breath, my heart raced like a wild stallion in the night. Alas, this time the answer is no. As I turned and began to walk away, each step carried me further from the family I once believed I truly understood. In that moment, uncertainty loomed before me like a shadow, and I found myself at a crossroads, pondering the path that lay ahead. Yet, amidst the swirling uncertainties, one truth stood unwavering. Determined and resolute, I knew I couldn't allow them to escape unscathed from their misdeeds. In the days that followed that fateful confrontation, it was as if I were wandering through a thick, enveloping fog. As I sat in the quiet of my thoughts, the events of the dinner table danced through my mind, each moment replaying like a cherished yet haunting melody. In a moment that felt suspended in time, my mother's serene dismissal hung in the air, while Brandon's indifference cast a shadow over the scene. Their words reverberated within me, a relentless tide that washed away the remnants of my self-worth, leaving only shadows in their wake. As I settled into the embrace of the couch, a heavy numbness washed over me. All that surrounded me seemed shrouded in deception, as if I were an unwitting player in a game I had never been informed I was meant to join. For years, I had devoted myself to tending to their desires, tirelessly mending the chaos they left in their wake. Yet, when the moment arrived, I realized I was merely a tool, a pawn manipulated by their hands. And now, I found myself grasping the fragments of my broken world. For days on end, I found myself confined within the four walls of my room, engulfed by a swirling sea of self-doubt that threatened to pull me under. In the depths of my thoughts, the haunting vision of my family lingered, their faces a mask of normalcy, as if the world around us had not shifted beneath our feet. My feelings had transformed. Anger was no longer my sole companion. In a moment that felt like an eternity, I found myself engulfed in heartache and betrayal, trapped in a shadowy abyss from which I could not see a way to escape. Yet, in that moment, a profound change stirred within me. It came not in a rush, but rather slowly, akin to the gentle flicker of a light beginning to pierce the shroud of night. It dawned on me that remaining in this shattered condition was no longer an option. In that moment, I realized I held the power to shape my own value, refusing to let others dictate who I was meant to be. Once upon a time, that was the case. But now, the tale has taken a different turn. With a trembling resolve, I rose to my feet, undeterred by the quaking of my hands. With a sense of urgency, I began to gather the scattered papers around me, the loan documents that held my fate, the old bank statements that whispered tales of my past, and the emails from my family, each one a thread in the tapestry of my life. And so, I spread them all before me. As I turned each page, a dawning awareness washed over me, revealing that I had been ensnared in this tangled tale for far too long. They had taken more than mere coins from my grasp. In a cruel twist of fate, they had taken from me the very essence of my future, the vibrant tapestry of my dreams. Yet, this was far from the conclusion of the tale. With a sense of urgency, I reached for my phone, embarking on a quest to find a lawyer, one of great repute, who could stand by my side in this battle against the tangled web of lies and deceit that ensnared me. In that moment, I understood the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, yet I had resolved to break free from the chains of victimhood, to reclaim my power and no longer allow them to dictate my fate. In a moment of urgency, I reached out to a lawyer, a guardian of justice who had dedicated their expertise to the shadowy realms of identity theft and fraud. As I unfolded the tale of my predicament, the astonishment in her voice was unmistakable. "This is serious," she declared. "It seems you possess a compelling argument. We shall bring this matter before the court." After what felt like an eternity, a flicker of hope ignited within me once more. Though the path ahead was fraught with challenges, it marked the beginning of my journey to reclaim the reins of my existence. They had taken so much from me, yet I stood resolute, determined that my power would no longer be theirs to claim. In that moment, I stood tall, unyielding, for I was not shattered. Text as the first light of dawn crept into the world, I felt a stirring within me, a call to arms that ignited my spirit. I was awakening, and the fire of determination surged through my veins, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. It was a moment that seemed to blur the lines of reality, as I took those initial steps on the path to justice. In the weeks that followed, I embarked on a quest, meticulously collecting each fragment of evidence, every document that unveiled the truth of my family's betrayal. As I sat across from the lawyer I had chosen, I couldn't help but notice the spark in her eyes, a fierce glint that spoke of her efficiency and determination. When I unveiled the depths of my family's actions, that glimmer transformed into something sharper, more ruthless, as if she had found the very heart of the matter laid bare before her. "This isn't merely an isolated problem," she declared, her voice imbued with a chilling confidence that spoke of her expertise. "In a tale of deception, we find ourselves facing an act of fraud, and rest assured, we shall ensure that those responsible will face the consequences of their actions." Once upon a time, I found myself in a situation I had never imagined I would face, a legal battle that loomed large before me. Yet, as I delved deeper into this journey alongside my lawyer, a spark of confidence began to ignite within me, illuminating the path ahead. My battle was not merely for the coins they had taken from my grasp. In a fierce battle, I stood resolute, striving for my dignity, my freedom, and the promise of a brighter future. In the beginning, the journey commenced with the act of filing the fraud charges. Little did my family know what was about to unfold. They believed I would simply fall apart, fading into the shadows as I had done in the past, but I was no longer that girl. This time, I would not allow them to hush my voice. As the fateful papers were delivered, bearing the weighty accusations of fraud, identity theft, and the forgery of documents, the expression that crossed my mother's face upon receiving that envelope was nothing short of unforgettable. As the knock echoed through the quiet room, I felt a playful urge to conceal the smile that danced upon my lips. As my mother carefully unsealed the envelope, a sense of anticipation hung in the air, only to be met with the unexpected weight of a court summons in her hands. "Mother, what is this curious thing before me?" Alyssa's voice danced through the hallway, weaving its way like a gentle breeze on a warm summer day. Her voice carried a true sense of bewilderment, yet beneath it lay a whisper of fear, like shadows dancing in the twilight. In the room just beside, I found myself captivated, my ears straining to catch every sound that whispered through the walls. In a moment that felt like a whisper of fate, they found themselves caught off guard, unaware of the storm that had just swept through their lives. In the blink of an eye, the air thickened with a sense of dread, and the panic began to unfurl like a dark cloud on the horizon. As the days drifted by, a deep sensation stirred within me, resonating through my very bones. It was my mother's voice that broke the silence, a plea woven with urgency as she implored me to let go of the case and consider the bonds of family that tied us all together. Her words flowed like a river of desperation, yet I stood unwavering, unyielding to the tide of her plea. "Consider the bonds that tie us together as one family." With a calm and resolute voice, I echoed her words, each syllable firm and unwavering. "As you ponder the bonds of family, I find myself a mere shadow in your thoughts, never once crossing your mind. In the shadows of our tale, you sought to wield me as a tool for your desires, But now, the time has come for you to face the consequences of your actions. On the other end of the line, an eerie silence hung in the air, heavy and profound. She attempted to weave her words into a tapestry of logic, but my heart remained untouched, indifferent to her pleas. At long last, the veil had been lifted, revealing the truth that lay hidden in the shadows. In a twist of fate, she had skillfully crafted my signature, turning me into her unwitting pawn, and now, alas, there was no path to retreat. As the court case approached on the horizon, a sense of panic began to swell in the air around me. Brandon's voice echoed through the line, urging me to resolve this matter away from prying eyes, but alas, the moment for secrecy had slipped through our fingers like sand. Fear gripped their hearts, leaving them trembling in the shadows. Once, they had presented a picture of flawless family harmony, but now the cracks were beginning to show, revealing the undeniable truth of their existence that they could no longer hide from. It had transcended the mere clinking of coins and the rustle of bills. It had become something far greater. It was a moment to reveal that fear held no power over me. With determination in my heart, I seized the reins of the situation, vowing to ensure that they would confront the repercussions of their actions. As the sun rose on the day of the court hearing, a heavy anticipation filled the air, pressing down on my chest like a stone. It was more than a mere clash of laws. It was a fierce struggle for all that had been withheld from me for countless years. As I stepped into the courtroom, my heart pounded like a drum, yet amidst the chaos, a curious feeling of strength washed over me. The days of being the quiet, invisible daughter had slipped away like shadows at dawn. In that moment, I grasped the reins of my existence, steering the course of my destiny with newfound determination. As we settled into our seats, my gaze fell upon them, the very souls who had turned their backs on me. There they were in the same room, feigning calmness, their true colors hidden beneath a veneer of composure. My mother, a master of feigned assurance, wore her familiar self-satisfied expression, yet beneath the surface, I could sense the subtle fractures starting to emerge. In a moment that felt both fleeting and eternal, Brandon, the one who had always basked in the glow of praise, found himself fidgeting nervously, a storm of uncertainty brewing within him. Alyssa put on a brave face, attempting to mask the turmoil within her, yet her eyes betrayed her, flitting nervously from side to side, revealing the storm of anxiety she could not conceal. As the trial commenced, the evidence unfolded before the eyes of all present. In the shadows of deceit, there lay the forged signatures, the web of false claims, and the financial records that unveiled the treachery of those who had stolen from me. They wove a tale of deceit, using my name as a key to unlock loans, all the while harboring no intention of ever repaying the debts they had conjured. One by one, the threads of their deceit began to unravel, revealing the truth hidden beneath the surface. The lawyers' questions pierced their defenses with the ease of a hot knife gliding through butter. In the beginning, they sought to cast shadows over the truth, but as the days unfolded, the reality emerged, bright and undeniable. The papers spoke the truth, revealing secrets that could not be hidden any longer. At last, the moment I had long anticipated arrived. In a moment that would echo through the halls of justice, the court decreed the confiscation of the ill-gotten treasures they had so cunningly acquired. Once upon a time, in a quaint neighborhood, there stood a house that gleamed with the pride of its owner, Brandon. It was a beautiful new abode, a testament to his hard work and dreams. Yet, in a twist of fate, that cherished sanctuary was taken away from him, leaving behind echoes of what once was. As the judge's voice echoed through the courtroom, I could nearly sense the very breath escaping his body, a silent testament to the weight of the decision that hung in the air. His face bore the weight of disbelief, a tempest of shock and fury swirling within his eyes. Once, he believed himself to be invincible, a figure beyond the reach of fate. Yet, in a twist of destiny, he found himself standing at the precipice, compelled to relinquish everything he held dear. In the heart of a bustling town where dreams were woven into the fabric of reality, Alyssa stood at the center of what was meant to be her perfect wedding, a celebration she had paraded before the world for months. Yet, beneath the shimmering facade, a truth lingered, whispering that all was not as it seemed. It was a tale of illusion, where the glimmering moments masked a deeper story, one that danced just out of reach. It was not her purse that bore the weight of the funding, it was my own that carried the burden. And now, the weight of her choices bore down upon her with an unforgiving force. As the gavel fell and the judge delivered her verdict, the foundation of her marriage, once adorned with dreams of opulence and splendor, started to splinter and crumble. In the dimly lit courtroom, her husband remained steadfast beside her, a silent guardian through the storm of her extravagant choices. Yet, beneath the surface, an unspoken tension crackled in the air, hinting at the turmoil that lay between them. Before her very eyes, the threads of their marriage began to unravel, each moment a reminder of what once was. Yet, it was the downfall of my mother that struck the deepest chord within me. In my mind, she was a master of her craft, weaving her way through circumstances with an uncanny ability to turn them to her favor. Yet, the moment her expression transformed upon hearing the verdict was etched in my memory forever. In a heartbeat, she found herself stripped of everything she held dear. Her reputation lay in ruins, the cherished family home was no more, and the sense of control she once wielded slipped through her fingers like sand. Once, she held the conviction that I would remain beneath her, a captive to her will. Yet, in a twist of fate, it was she who found herself ensnared, crushed under the heavy burden of her own deceit. The tale had reached its conclusion. In a time long past, the family I once endeavored to shield began to unravel before my very eyes, and an unexpected wave of satisfaction washed over me. The quest had transformed, shedding its vengeful skin like a serpent in the sun. What once burned with the fire of retribution now flickered with a different light, illuminating a path unforeseen. In a world where right and wrong danced in a delicate balance, the tale unfolded, woven with threads of justice. And thus, victory was mine. As the final gavel echoed through the courtroom, a profound transformation washed over me, as if I were casting off a worn and weary skin, leaving behind the burdens of the past. In that moment, it felt as though the heavy chains of my family's manipulation, the deep scars of their betrayal, simply dissolved into the air. Ah, the triumph in the courtroom was indeed a sweet melody, yet the most precious gift was the liberation that followed, a newfound breath of freedom that filled the air. In that moment, a profound realization washed over me. For the first time, I felt the sweet liberation of living for myself, unshackled from the expectations of others. In a time that felt like my own, I found myself embracing the essence of my existence. In a moment of clarity, I made the choice to depart, to turn my back on the place that had woven itself into the very fabric of my thoughts, transforming into a prison of my own making. In a new city, I found myself, a place where the whispers of my name were unheard, where the weight of expectations vanished like morning mist, allowing me the chance to begin anew. In a bustling city filled with towering buildings and endless noise, I stumbled upon a humble apartment. It may not have been grand, but it held a special kind of magic. It was mine. The air was filled with the fragrance of fresh starts, a scent that whispered of possibilities yet to unfold. In the gentle embrace of the evenings, when the world seemed to pause and the stillness wrapped around me like a comforting blanket, I found a longing fulfilled. Each morning, I rose with a tranquility that felt entirely new to my soul. As the days turned into weeks, a gentle transformation began to unfold within me, and slowly, I began to rediscover the essence of who I truly was. Once upon a time, I embraced the art of painting, a passion that had long dwelled in my heart, waiting patiently for the moment when I would finally find the time and energy to bring it to life. In a world where expectations often cloud connections, I stumbled upon a group of kindred spirits who sought nothing in return for their companionship. They simply wanted to share laughter and moments, free from the weight of demands. They cherished me for the essence of my being, rather than for the deeds I could perform on their behalf. In a gentle and deliberate manner, I began to unearth the voice that had long been hidden, silenced beneath the weight of years spent in the service of others' desires. As I embarked on my journey, a newfound strength surged within me, transcending the boundaries of mere legality. In that moment, a surge of strength coursed through me, for I had grasped the reins of my own existence. No longer would I dwell in the dimness cast by their expectations. I was free to chart my own course. Once, the pain had loomed large, casting shadows over every corner of the heart. But in its place, a gentle strength began to blossom, filling the soul with a serene assurance. Though I was not without my flaws, I had at last embraced my true self, and that realization was more than sufficient. In the tale of my family, they bore the weight of their choices, paying a steep price along the way. In a world where fate had woven its intricate tapestry, their lives unraveled in ways that slipped through their fingers like grains of sand. In a moment that felt like a cruel twist of fate, Brandon watched as the home he had cherished slipped through his fingers, leaving behind a landscape of broken dreams. In a tale where dreams once danced in the light, Alyssa's perfect wedding, a shimmering vision of joy, began to unravel, revealing the shadows that lurked beneath the facade of happiness. And what of my mother? In a world that once brimmed with promise, she found herself standing alone, stripped of all she held dear, with nothing but the echoes of what once was. In a world stripped of reputation, where power lay just beyond reach, there existed a soul, wandering aimlessly, devoid of anyone to sway or control. In a moment that felt like a cruel twist of fate, her world had come undone, leaving her powerless in its wake. At long last, I had cast off the chains that bound me. In a twist of fate, the wheel of karma had turned, bringing me to a place where I finally embraced my own journey. I stood tall, filled with strength, joy, and a deep sense of contentment that I had never known before.